It's about 6:30 here at the West End Gun Club. It's Wednesday, July 27th. I'm out here to go ahead and do a run-through / walkthrough of the NRL22 August 2022 Course of Fire. Course of Fire got released Monday, so we're out here just to do the prep and get everything planned for when we do the match in August. Anyway, not much else to say. Gonna get everything set up. Although they did, I was emailing the range staff manager, I guess, and I was asking them, hey, did they have a chance to look at the mouse issue in the Connex container? Because I don't think, I mean, we still need to figure out how they're getting in to seal that up, but they put traps in there, and I was going to do that myself, but the only reason I was holding off on putting traps is because I can't come out here all the time. And if you got a trap in there and you catch a mouse, and it's been there for longer than a few days in the summer, it's not really a great thing to have and come in here into the Connex container and find a dead rat or dead mouse that's been here for, you know, a week or 2 weeks after baking in what could be 100 degrees inside a Connex container. You know, that's not a great thing. But they put traps in there, and so it's their traps, so they know about it, and they can always, I'm assuming they're going to be cleaning it out. But anyway, I went in there this morning, saw one trap by the door, which was untriggered, and I walked deeper in, and I found a mouse had triggered it, and yeah, it's dead. I'm not going to show it on video because I don't want that on YouTube, because who knows, somebody will complain about a dead animal or whatever, or YouTube decides to like strike my video for something. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and we'll start shooting. It's actually overcast this morning, although the clouds are kind of lower in the horizon. So when the sun creeps out, it's later in the day, it's probably gonna get really sunny. So, but right now we'll enjoy it. It's nice to have an overcast day, especially for video. For those of you who don't do a lot of photography or video work, overcast is good because less harsh sunlight. Anyway, some of you might have noticed, or maybe you didn't notice, that I'm not using the Triggercam 2.1. If you were following, you know that my Triggercam 2.1 does not fit the back of the ZCO. The objective, or the ocular bevel, is too large for the Triggercam 2.1. It does fit my other scopes, like my Collis, just barely, K525i, and I think it does fit my Vortex razors and some of my other scopes, like my Athlon. Anyway, that being said, I think I might have mentioned it, but I did sell it. So I sold it to Womfat, aka Matt Huey. He's out in Canada. He has a channel, Womfat. Really good shooter. And he's recently, I think he won a recent match, a big match, and I think he played second place in another match recently. But so I sold it to him because he was using the Tacticam, and he wanted to try the Triggercam, and I think he saw that I was not looking to keep my Triggercam because it doesn't work on my ZCOs. And so I worked out a good deal with him, and I sent to him. It took forever to get to him, though. It literally took, I want to say, like 3 or 4 weeks to get there via USPS. And then it took USPS forever to get out of the country. I think it sat in LA, I think, for maybe a week and a half. Then it took some roundabout way to Atlanta and then went up north. So by the time, it took maybe two and a half weeks or 2 weeks in the United States, moving around and just sitting in one place, and finally it crossed the border. And then after it crossed the border, I think it delivered to him in a day or two. So I have no idea what's going on with the U.S. Postal Service. Anyway, he has it now. I think he's used it recently. I think he's cool with it. I think it was a good camera. I mean, the quality seemed pretty good. It seemed pretty easy to use. Some of the features in the app weren't working, because there's an app that ties to it for Bluetooth. Because I use the app in order to center the reticle or whatever, which you don't really need to do, right? Or to level the reticle with respect to the camera, because you can always rotate the image in post. But I like to use the Bluetooth because you can look at it real time live, like streaming live onto your phone. And so I just use that app to level the reticle. But so there was a few features in there that didn't work, but I anticipate they'll probably resolve those things. Anyway, I know that people like the inside the scope view, and I think it's very useful, especially for stuff like what I'm doing here is where I'm doing a walkthrough and I'm shooting, and I have another camera set off to the side to show my hits, but you're not really seeing my sight picture. I would like to get another Triggercam, and so I'm not sure how official this is, but I emailed Triggercam, or I sent them a message and asked them, are you going to make another version that'll fit larger ocular bells? And the words they used were, we are working on it, something of the nature of, we're working on a new version that'll fit larger scopes. And I'm like, okay, cool. So hopefully that will come to fruition and it'll be out relatively soon. I can't imagine it's going to take much work. I figure they'll just use the same internals. They'll just modify the housing to fit a larger ocular bell. So once that comes out, I'll get that one, and then hopefully we can start having inside the scope videos of my rimfire shooting, since I do use the zero compromise optic. ZC527, which is, I think, a great scope. Anyway, let's go ahead and start shooting, because I did set up a couple of the stages. So I spoke a little too soon about that overcast weather. The sun looks like it's trying to break through those clouds, so probably gonna have sporadic sunshine on and off during this range vlog. Anyway, let's go ahead and run through the Course of Fire. I am gonna run it out of order as it appears in the Course of Fire. So if you're looking through the PDF file and you're seeing it, for page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I'm not gonna run it in that order specifically, simply because I want to be able to tear down this range so that as I move along, because the way I set up the range right now, I've set up on the far end of the range on the right side, and I want to tear all these parts down as I move closer to my vehicle. Just in case somebody shows up and they want to use the range, I'm not occupying the entire range. So that's kind of one of my reasonings for doing this weird, out of order run through of the NRL22 Course of Fire. Anyway, we will start with the first one in the match program. It's called Thunder Down Under. 122nd part time, 10 rounds. We have 2 targets. We have a 2-inch at 65 and a 3-inch at 85 yards. 10 points per impact, 100 points possible. You're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the targets in the following manner and order. Any leg, far target, 3 shots. Any tip, near target, 2 shots. A different leg than from before, far target with 3 shots, then a different tip than from before, near target, 2 shots. So leg 3, tip 2, leg 3, tip 2. Pretty straightforward. However, when shooting from the legs, which is below the center of the apex, or where all the segments meet, no rear support equipment may be used to support the rifle. So if you're going to use like I'm going to take this into account too, as well as like a body bag, like a big mega bag, you're not going to be able to use that during the stage. So pretty much you're going to be freehanding the rear of the stock. And they always put this in here, the tip is the furthest portion on the tank trap above the center. I don't know why they keep having to say that. I always assume that this is a tip, right? I don't know if people have been trying to put their bags closer to this point and they're calling that the tip, but it's always going to be this point right here. So anyway, I feel like that's straightforward. Maybe somebody's been gaming the system on tank traps, but whatever. Anyway, this is a straightforward stage. It's leg far 3, tip near 2, leg far 3, tip near 2. All right, let's run through it. I finished with 109.58 seconds elapsed on the clock. A little bit longer than I thought I would have taken, although I was fumbling around with this microphone that was on my body at the time. I should have just taken it off, and it was getting in the way of things. But it's a pretty straightforward stage. I think the only issue at hand is we have these poles here which are blocking the way. They're here because they use it for the small bore silhouette shooting. They have these poles here. So it does block the way slightly. So I'll have to figure out logistics there. We can probably move the tank trap over the dirt if I wanted to, but maybe this will be fine. But for the most part, pretty easy. I just use my bipod. If you saw me use my bipod, I bisected the legs with the tank trap and I just pushed forward on it. That's one way to do it. There's a bunch of different ways to get your rifle sort of stable on the legs. That's my preferred method instead of using a bag, because the bags can slide, and I prefer to just put forward pressure on the gun to just push it against the tank trap, and that gives me the ability to keep the rifle up and steady. Yeah, I'm in place. And then tank trap trip, of course, just use a bag. Pretty straightforward to me. Not really too difficult. And I didn't even bother dialing parallax. I probably should have, or I could have dialed elevation. But it's just for me, it's like a 0.6, 0.6 of a mil difference between the 65 and 85 yards. So it's an easy holdover, just slightly holdover. You know, you bisect your 1 mils at the half mil mark, and if you got 2/10, then it's pretty easy just to put 6/10 there. Yeah, not much else to say here. Let's go ahead and move on to the next stage of fire. If it sounds a little bit noisy during this range vlog from time to time, it's simply because range staff is out here. They're moving some dirt from the various berms. So you're gonna hear a dozer in the background off and on. Anyway, the second stage we're gonna run through, not in order anymore, but it's gonna be called Too Tired for this shoot. 120-second part time, 10 rounds. And we have one target, a 2.5 inch at 85 yards. This is the bonus stage, so if you finish the extra time on the clock, you get a 1/10 of a bonus point per second remaining. You're gonna start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the target in the following order and manner. The upright tire, which you see we have 2 tires here, one on the bottom and one up top like this. You're gonna shoot on the upright tire, 2 shots, a flat tire on the right, 3 shots, upright tire, 3 shots, then the flat tire on the left, 2 shots. So simply 2, 3, 3, 2. 2, 3, 3, 2. Pretty straightforward. Just got to remember the order, remember the counts. You know, 2, 3, 3, 2, and which movements you're gonna make. Single target, so it's pretty easy. Just dial in and go. But let's go ahead and run through this one to see how it goes. I think I missed that one. I ran this one twice, mainly because the first time around my shot timer didn't pick up my rounds when I was shooting on this side of the tires because I had my shot timer there, and I wanted to know what my true time was. I did drop a 1 round during both runs from both times from the top of the center tire. Bouncy, that's the issue. The side to side is not a big deal. It's the bounce. You're gonna get this weird bounce movement and the rocking back and like to and fro, especially at this angle that we have. We have about a 6-degree angle right there. Maybe I'll have to double check. Actually, hell, let's do it right now. That's what this laser rangefinder is for. My fancy Kilo 8K, which I did write a review on. If you want to check that out, it's a 4-degree angle. But if you want to check out this review, it's on my blog at okfj.net. Long story short, I really don't recommend it. It's pretty pricey. And unless you need all the features on it, go with a different option. Anyway, I digress. 4-degree angle, top of this tire, the side to side is not a big deal. My hits on the target were pretty much almost in the same spot. It's just an up and down because you're just, the way you're bouncing on this tire, and the up and down on your stock, that's what causes that. And so I'm pretty sure I missed one underneath or over the top both times. That's a pretty straightforward stage. I did finish with 92 seconds on the second run, 92.32. So it's plenty of time. I feel like you should probably take your time to make sure you're stable and you break a nice clean shot on the top of this tire, because you do have to take 5 rounds, 2 rounds the first time, 3 rounds the second time. So you just want to make sure you're breaking clean shots. Off the ground, pretty easy. It's stable enough. But from the center tire here, upright tire, definitely want to take a few extra seconds to make sure you're breaking clean shots. And it won't cost you much time. Like I said, 92.32 elapsed. Had 27 seconds left, so plenty of time. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next stage. Next stage we're going to run through is called Rung Out. It's our typical ladder stage. Single target, 3-inch at 100 yards on a single hanger. 10 points per impact, 100 points possible, and it's 10 rounds, 10 round count. You're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the target with 1 shot from each ladder rung, hit or miss to move on. The shooter will start from the highest ladder rung they can safely reach and work their way down and up and back down again without skipping for 10 shots or time expires. Pretty straightforward. Just start where you can start at the highest one. For me, typically, because I'm short, I'm short, and so I usually start off on the 4th rung. Sometimes I can shoot the 5th rung, the top rung, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll get into position. I actually do have the ladder set back a little bit on the concrete. Usually I sit during match day, I put the ladder forward and I have this little stilt because the dirt ground in front of the concrete pad is lower. Only because I want the ladder, the reason why I want the ladder forward of the line or kind of level with the line, firing line on match days, because if you're shooting a ladder like this right now, the muzzle of your gun is going to be right here, and technically you're kind of shooting behind the firing line. Your muzzle's way far back, and so if you have a spotter right here, muzzle breaks right here, like the muzzle breaks, or the muzzle, not like a muzzle break, but the muzzle breaks right this plane right here, you're technically forward of this guy's gun. So that's kind of why I like to set the ladder forward. But right now, with no one else on the firing line, this is relatively safe. So I'll run around like this right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and run through it. It's, like I said, straightforward. 1 shot, keep moving. So it's basically an exercise in establishing a position as fast as possible and breaking a clean shot. It is a 3-inch target, so it's relatively large. So we'll see how it goes. Missed that one. Yeah, not feeling good right now. Ooh, timed out. I don't know if that was a hit or not. Deflected funny. That was a miss. Man, I'm not shooting well for some reason. I'm struggling on this ladder today. Keep hitting the ladder. Barely finished with time. As you can see, I was having a hard time this morning just getting through the ladder stage. It's a straightforward stage. It's more kind of like a skill stage where you're supposed to just be able to get into a position quickly, break a shot, and keep moving, right? I think it's just trying to be fast, and then I'm hitting the ladder with my scope. Just got to have a good technique when coming in through these portholes. You know, try to angle it one way and bring it in there. Having that bag on there doesn't help with the as far as the maneuverability, but it does save me a little bit of time, I guess. I don't know if I should just run a regular flat bag or even just something a little bit like a pad, so I'm not having to maneuver my gun as much. But either way, dropped a few rounds on both runs, and well, I think I dropped one round and I timed out on the first run, and I dropped a few rounds on the second run, although I did finish under time. This one's just mainly skills. I mean, it's got to practice and practice and practice. Keep practicing. Got to get fast, get on the target, establish a position, break a clean shot, and move and repeat. So I don't know. I think this is a good stage. It looks simple at first, but definitely it's just an exercise in your skills. So definitely a great exercise for your fundamental marksmanship, and I recommend just doing this as a normal cadence for your practice at the range. Is just using a ladder and doing what this is doing as far as getting into position, just moving from rung to rung to breaking a shot, because you're just constantly just exercising, establishing your position. All right, let's go and move on to the next stage. Next stage we're running through is called Top Gun, Never Leave Your Wingman. This is 120-second part time, 12 rounds. We have two banks of targets. We have the full KYL rack,
the 1 inch, 3/4 inch, ½ inch, and 1/4 inch at 42 yards. And we have a 2 inch on a single hanger at 69 yards. 10 points per impact, 120 points possible. You can start standing, rifle, and all gear in hand, mag and action open. On the start signal, the shooter will assume a prone supported position with only 2 rounds in their magazine and engage the 1 inch KYL target with 2 shots. The shooter will then retrieve their spare mag or their other mag, their second mag, behind the firing line 10 feet away and engage the target in the following order and manner. Far target 1 shot, KYL large to small 1 shot each. Far target 1 shot, KYL large to small 1 shot each. Pretty easy to understand. So basically 2 rounds, 1 inch KYL, go back, get another mag, and then shoot far, KYL, far, KYL. Hit. I think it's just hit or miss, move on. Pretty relatively straightforward. You basically need 2 magazines though, and you need to set up 8 rounds and 2 rounds. So we'll go ahead and do that.
KYL rack is moving. Gotta wait for it to settle down. And I missed that one. Problem with this KYL rack is it has a tendency to cause the targets to move. How much short? Barely equipped it. Okay. Whew.
When I was reading through that stage description, I kind of messed things up. So you have a 2-rounder. For some reason I said, okay, you have a 2-round mag and then an 8-round mag. It's 2 and a 10 because 12 rounds total. I ran through that first time, the first run, and I was wondering, wait, why am I finishing off with 2 rounds short? And I'm like, oh crap, it's a 2 and a 10, not 2 and an 8. Anyway, so you set up a 2-round mag and a 10-round mag, 12 rounds total. Just make sure you don't mess that up. I actually finished with 114 elapsed, so it took a lot longer than I would have liked to. The biggest thing holding you back on this one, I think, is the KYL. The one I'm using, if you shoot one KYL, it can cause the adjacent KYL target to move, so it's going to slow you down. Also, when you're shooting that the KYL twice in the first 2 rounds, you have to wait for the KYL to stop spinning. So that you lose lots of valuable seconds there during that whole stage of fire. And yeah, that's kind of where you lose some time. So you don't want to really don't want to, you want to minimize your mistakes here, minimize your movements, because you're going to be waiting on that KYL rack. I could switch to our other KYL, which is the JC Steel one. I'm using the Atlas TargetWorks KYL because I actually like the Atlas TargetWorks KYL better. It seems more stout. The JC Steel ones actually don't spin as wildly, I guess. When you shoot one KYL, the other ones don't spin as much. So I may decide to switch to that one for the match. We'll see. Anyway, this one is pretty straightforward. Just don't mess up your magazines. 2 and 10, not 2 and 8. So it's a 12-round stage. Other than that, you should have plenty of time to get your sight picture. You're just going to be waiting on the KYL. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the last stage of fire. Last stage we're running through is called There's a Hole in My Bucket. 120-second part-time 10 rounds. We have 3 targets. 1 inch at 45, 1.5 inch at 60, 2 inch at 95 yards. Relatively small targets. 10 points per impact, 100 points possible. We're going to start standing, rifle, and all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the targets with 1 shot, hit or miss, to move on in the following order and manner. Prone, left of the bucket, near to far. Middle, on the bucket rim. When they said bucket rim, I'm assuming that there's no lid on this thing. The title says there's a hole in my bucket, so I'm assuming it's a lidless bucket facing up. On the bucket rim, middle then near, so 60 then 45. Prone, right of bucket, near to far, but support side. On the bucket rim, middle then near, but support side. So it's kind of weird. You're going to shoot prone left of bucket, near to far. So all 3 targets, 45, 60, 95. On the bucket rim, middle then near, so you only do 2 shots here, 60 and 45. Then you're going to go prone, right of bucket, support side, near to far, so 45, 60, 95, that's 3 shots, and then back to the bucket rim, middle, near, support side, 60 and 45. So it's kind of weird. Support side shooting. When shooting from the bucket, a bipod cannot be deployed where the feet are on the ground or on the bottom of the bucket. And support side means support shoulder, eye, and hand. So with that whole bipod thing, the whole goal is that they don't want you using maybe your spigot mount here and then putting your bipod, resting your rifle here and then you put your bipod so far down that it touches and therefore your bipod supporting it. And same thing with the bottom of the bucket. They don't want you just putting your sky pod and extending the legs all the way down into the bucket. So that's kind of the goal there, to keep people from gaming that. But this one seems interesting. I'm probably going to run this twice just to get a feel for it. I'm not sure how this is going to balance. So on level ground, if we were on level ground for our targets, I would shoot with probably with the rifle here, or the bag here, and then the rifle over it. But since we have to shoot at an angle, at a 5 degree angle, I'm going to need to use the near side of the bucket so I can actually cant my rifle or tip my rifle up. Because you can't do it if it's right here on the forward in the bucket because there's no room because this bucket's blocking it. So this is going to be interesting for our range, and it may result in a very tippy bucket. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to run it twice just because I'm sure this is going to be a very, very problematic stage, I guess.
Wow, timed out quick. Whoa, tippy bucket. Whoa, timed out. Missed that one. Okay. Low. Missed that last shot. Dropped 3 rounds. Okay. I think I know I'm going to shoot this. Hit it, barely. 1.5, 1.5. Middle here, middle near. .116 elapsed. That was tough. So I'm going to come out and say that I am struggling with this stage. It's very hard. I took about 4 different runs at it, 4 or 5, and I figured it out as far as how I'm going to do it, but I'm still not optimal. It's the bucket. This is going to slow you down, and in making those three transitions. So first transition to the bucket, second transition to support side prone, third transition to support side bucket. It's going to be relatively, I don't want to say unsafe, but we need to keep an eye on people because you saw me earlier. I dropped my gun, like the front end of my gun fell and hit the ground. Is that a DQ? I don't know. Technically, I didn't drop the whole gun, but I dropped the front end of it because it's so heavy. And I didn't drop it. It just basically tipped over on the bipod. So I don't know. Match directors, would you DQ me for that? That being said, did I just break something here? I think I broke something. Hang on a second. Where'd this plastic come from? That's weird. What is this? Huh. I'll take a look. I think I broke something on my rifle. It's a weird piece of plastic. Anyway. I'm going to have to... Sorry. So it's going to be relatively unsafe because of that bucket, right? It's tippy. If you're not careful of like how heavy your gun is, you can tip the bucket over. Sorry, let me get this microphone in a pocket so I can talk to you guys and move. So the main thing I did was I was trying to put the bag on the bucket, but that was not working out. This relatively unstable. I wasn't able to find a good spot to put my gun. I think I can make it work, although my bipod is in the way. But what I end up doing is, because the bipod is so flexible, I end up just deciding to go this way. And I could just put my bipod there, and I could, instead of laying down into this weird prone position, I could simply just sit or kneel, but I'd rather sit, and I can use like a mega bag or a pump pillow. I'll probably use a pump pillow because a mega bag seems a little too big, but a pump pillow or mega bag, and I can just sit here, take an easy shot, nice stable position, break, and we're good. So this is how I'm going to shoot it. Putting a bag on the rim simply adds a lot of instability. So this is a very particular stage that match directors and stage officers are going to have to pay attention to, because people could theoretically have an accident here with their gun. Anyway, I highly recommend you practice at home with this. Get a bucket and practice with it, because it's going to be, come match day, if it's the very first time you've ever tried to put a bag on the rim of a bucket with an open top like this and tried to shoot, you're going to be in, I think you're going to be in for a world of hurt. And like that first round, I got 5 rounds off, and that was it. So, yeah, definitely practice this one. Highly, highly encouraged. Like, it's not just recommended. I almost feel it's close to mandatory that you need to practice at least getting into a position off this bucket in the rim with your gun. Anyway, I'm going to figure out where the heck this piece of plastic came from, and then we'll clean up, get packed, and get out of this range. Just a quick aside, I figured out what this piece of plastic was that I found on my mat. I thought I broke something on my gun or something, but it was a piece of, it looked like 3D printed plastic,
And come to find out, I realized that I broke the, this came off of the mag loader that I have for my Voodoos. This is made by another company, not the Voodoo mag loader, but it's made by someone else. And I have one bungee corded to my belt or whatever. And I guess I must have sat on it, stepped on it or something, or slammed something into it, but I cracked it. Anyway, nothing serious. I got plenty of these things, so we're all good.
The August 2022 NRL22 Course of Fire is not a cakewalk. It's not super difficult, but there are 2 stages that'll be challenging for most people, myself included. That bucket stage, as we ended with, that one is going to be very challenging. It's something different than people have shot before, and most people have never shot. And I feel that, I don't want to say it's unsafe, but there is potential for at least some issues where people are gonna, depending on how they manipulate the gun, they're gonna tip the bucket over and their rifle's gonna dip into the ground. So we'll figure something out there. I mean, we could weight the bucket, but I feel that may violate the spirit of this stage because it's supposed to be a little difficult in terms of the stability of the bucket. However, I mean, we also have to keep in mind safety. So I'll make a decision there come match day on what we want to do. But as far as how you're going to shoot it, I highly recommend you, number one, practice at home. Don't just come to the match and say, hey, I'm going to do this in your head, right? And not actually have tried it. Even if you don't live fire, at least dry fire at home. Just see how it feels when you get in position. Don't just blindly do it on match day and just out of the blue, just do it. Try it at home. Try it at your home range, whatever, in your garage. Do whatever you need to do to try setting on the bucket and getting stable. And like, even at home, put just a little paster or a piece of paper on the wall, and that's your aiming point. Get in position and dry fire that. It's a simple thing to do. Even at home in the garage, I'll get my ladder and I'll practice dry firing against, just on the opposite wall, put a small shoot and see pacer, and I'll just use my aiming point and I'll dry fire that. Very simple. And it's a good way to just practice at least getting the positions. And the second one is probably going to be a challenge for most people is just the ladder stage, simply because, if you're not well, in tune, you're not well tuned up as far as getting in position, breaking a shot, moving, getting in position, breaking a shot, and just continuously doing that 10 different times, you're going to probably time out in that stage. So, but I like that ladder stage. I know it shows up in our Course of Fire every so often, but it is a great exercise as far as fundamentals. Under pressure, under time. Anyway, that's it for the Course of Fire. I feel that this is going to be a moderately difficult Course of Fire for people. It's not an easy to moderate course. I would say it's a solid moderate Course of Fire. The prone stages, the 2 prone stages have moderately small targets, not too small, but I mean, there is potential to miss, right? Especially if there's a wind. So I think this is a good moderate difficulty Course of Fire. That's how I would rate it as far as the difficulty scale for NRL22 Courses of Fire. Last match, you saw it. I remember, I don't think I mentioned it at the end, but we did have 27 signups, 28 signups, but then we had 5 no-shows, a couple walk-ons. So we ended up with 24 finishing up, actually shooting that day. So we're hovering at right around 25 right now, potentially 30 people, but we are getting regular shooters. And there's people who, it's regular shooters who don't show up one day, and there's regular shooters who show up the next day or the other days. So it's going to be a weird balance, but eventually I anticipate we'll have this where all of it aligns and everybody decides to show up on one day, and we could have well over 30, 35 people. But that would be good. We did run 3 stages last match, even though we only had 24. Instead of doing 12 people per squad, or sorry, not stages, but we were 3 squads. So instead of 12 people per squad with 24, we did 3 squads with 8 people. We finished up around 11:30, which is good. I like that because normally we were finishing up with 2 squads. We'll finish after 12. I would like to have 3 squads moving forward. And the only reason we always ran 2 squads is simply because there's 2 match directors, quote unquote match officials. I feel comfortable just having a 3rd squad being run by competitors, as long as those competitors understand how to run the line, which most competitors now, as long as we have regulars who keep coming, we can have can have solid regulars running at least one of those squads, so that we have people who are familiar with everything, the procedures, and how to use the timer and the tablets. And we should be able to run 3 squads. I think that'll be comfortable. I know someone in a previous comment from my last video said they run 5.
We could probably do that, but I'd have to get timers, right? Timers and tablets. I feel 3 squads move smoothly enough. 4 would probably move good, but 5, it seems like 1 squad per stage, and at any given time, so you have a squad on every stage at any moment. It almost feels cumbersome because then you're starting to collide with each other where one squad is lagging, you're holding out the rest of them. That's the one thing I don't like to see. And especially with only 24 people, you know, even if we had like 24, 25 people, you run 5 squads, that's 5 people per squad. I guess that might work out. Who knows? Anyway, it's, you know, we're learning as we go. But I would like to run 3 squads moving forward, so we'll see how that is. I have 3 tablets. I have 2.5 timers. I call it half timer because I have the Pocket Pro, which is a crappy timer for rimfire. And I'm still waiting for that Kestrel KST 1000. At SHOT Show 2022, they said March, and March is come and gone. And it still keeps saying available soon or whatever on their webpage or website. So hopefully that comes out because I want to buy another timer, and I don't want to get another CED 7000 when that KST 1000 is coming out. And I would much rather to get that new Kestrel because it looks very good for a timer, even though it's $300. Anyway, that's it for today, Wednesday, July 27th, here at the West End Gun Club. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vlog.